Hey guys, welcome back to Cosplay Life. I'm Air Bear, and this is not the Cosplay 101 series like it's supposed to be. I was supposed to do step 10, but due to a series of unfortunate events, I'm not able to do that today. But what I will do is move on to my next series where I go into detail about different subjects in cosplay. And the first one is all about glues. The reason why I decided to do this video is because when I first started cosplaying, I kept hearing about different glues here and there, and I wanted someone just to go through and list all the glues in cosplay and how they would use each of them. And of course that's not possible because it's like a buttload of glues. But I decided that I will put together all the glues that I use and how I use them in cosplay and give you some drawbacks of each one. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. There's going to be a part 2 video where I use some of the glues to make a project, so I can kind of give you just an example of how I use the glue. So let's get started talking about the glues. First up is Mod Podge. You can get Mod Podge from craft stores. You can also get it from Walmart. I use Mod Podge for a lot of things. I use it to glue fabric onto the back of my craft foam so that my skin doesn't sweat. I use Mod Podge to seal and to top coat some of my craft foam objects. I should have used Mod Podge to seal my fraying edges. You just run some Mod Podge along the edge of this, and that's supposed to seal your fraying edges so they don't fray anymore. Who knew? When I use Mod Podge, I use old paintbrushes, and you don't have to like keep buying new paintbrushes. I just keep using like this one, basically. Yeah, it's mainly this one. Once you get it re-wet with Mod Podge, it works fine for what I need it to do. It is a little bit like cakey, a little bit. It's not as smooth, but I use it. Now, some of the drawbacks of using Mod Podge is that if you have two objects that have Mod Podge on their surface, let me just use this. If you have two surfaces that have Mod Podge on their surface, if they touch, when you store them or transport them from point A to point B, they could stick and peel up some of your paint. So you just need to be careful how you store them. So what I would recommend is just store them like so that the surfaces aren't touching each other. Problem solved. Also, try not to use Mod Podge to top coat objects that you've sprayed with a metallic spray paint because it will dull the shine and it won't look as metallic anymore. It'll just look gray or yellow or goldenrod. The next glue that I use is wood glue, and I use this to seal my craft foam. Yeah, I guess that's all I use it for. So what I do is I get like a recycled container and I put water and I put wood glue in it until it forms like a what would the consistency be? I don't know what the consistency is. I just kind of eyeball it and I just mix it up together in this container, and then I use a paintbrush. I use a paintbrush to paint it on to whatever I'm sealing. I do about 5 coats of that. I'm trying to decrease my coats to see if I actually need to do that many coats. One of the drawbacks of using wood glue is that it will crack. So you can't use it on things that need to flex or bend. I don't have anything else that needs to flex or bend. Like this. If you have primed something with wood glue on this, if you try to flex it or bend it over whatever you need to put it on, it will crack. So it's better for things that just need to stay flat, like buttons and buckles and whatnot. Wood glue. The next glue is super glue. I use super glue to glue small, tiny objects onto stuff because of the amount that you get, and you know that it'll stick. So all of these rivets up here are actually googly eyes. You hear it? I glued it on using super glue. Googly eyes. Googly, 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 googly. Googly eyes. Yeah. One of the drawbacks of using super glue is one, that you don't get very much, so you can only use it on small objects. Unless you have like a buttload of super glue, then kudos to you. But one of the drawbacks of using super glue is that it doesn't stick to some plastics. So just kind of test it to figure out if it's going to stick or not before you let your life depend on it. The next glue is our old faithful friend, the hot glue gun. I use hot glue to glue anything that's difficult to sew. So the leaves on Poison Ivy's leotard. hot glue gun. I also use hot glue gun to add lines or details before I spray paint something. I also use a hot glue gun to fill in gaps and things. So when I made Ariel's crown, I glued all of the shells on using a hot glue gun, and then I filled in the cracks using hot glue gun too. And then I kind of tacked in some of the extra, actually that's not a hot glue gun. Some of the drawbacks of hot glue, of course, is that it will burn you. You will get burned. It is okay. Just, yeah, try to be careful. Another drawback of hot glue is like that stringy stuff. It's kind of like a telltale sign that you hot glued your object. Another drawback of hot glue is that it does not glue rhinestones on very well. A lot of my rhinestones fell off of this thing. See, this is coming off. This was hot glued. It's not good for gluing rhinestones, especially onto fabric. It's also not good for gluing onto glass or other just really smooth and slick surfaces. And you can't use a hot glue gun on pleather. You have to kind of scratch up the pleather a little bit before you try to glue anything onto it. So since you can't use a hot glue gun to glue rhinestones onto fabric, what you do use is E6000. Let me show you the difference. Hot glue, E6000. This has been put through the washing machine, and I'm only missing maybe 6 rhinestones off of it. E6000 is a very flexible glue, so it's great for gluing rhinestones onto fabric. You can also use it to glue onto glass. The way that I heard it said is that if you can't use a hot glue gun to glue something, try E6000. Some of the drawbacks of E6000 are it has an awful smell. It says that you're supposed to use gloves with it. I didn't use gloves, but you know, I do a lot of things I'm not supposed to do. I'm a rebel. I rebel. One of the other drawbacks of using E6000 is that it does not dry as quickly as hot glue would. You need, I think 24 hours? Yeah, you need at least 24 hours for it to completely cure. Hot glue, on the other hand, is very quick and you glue it on and it's done. Hot glue I think of as like a quick fix, but it's not going to be a permanent fix. And the last glue that I've used is contact cement. Contact cement is my go-to for craft foam or EVA foam. If you need to glue a seam together or you need something to really stay, use contact cement. Some of the drawbacks about contact cement are that you will not be able to get it off, whatever it is, without ruining your piece, unless you use a heat gun. And that's another one of the drawbacks, is if you use a heat gun on it, on something that you glued with contact cement, it will lift the edges a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but I glued this on first and then I put a heat gun on it, and it lifted up some of my edges, so I had to kind of go in and push it back down. Also, contact cement leaves a texture, so only put it where you need it to be. Oh yeah, and contact cement has a weird smell, so you need to use it in a well-ventilated area. And it's flammable, so be careful. So the last glue that I was going to mention is epoxy. Now I haven't actually used epoxy. It's my step up. Beginner level is like Mod Podge and hot glue. Intermediate, you're moving up to contact cement. And then grown up step is epoxy. I'm not up at that grown up step yet. So I haven't actually used epoxy. From my understanding, it sticks better than hot glue will. Because you know how hot glue peels off. Epoxy won't. When you want to use epoxy, you have 2 separate components that you mix together to form the glue, and you apply that to your surface and you do your thing. It's my next glue that I want to use. I want to see what it can do and how well it can hold and how it compares to some of these other glues that I'm used to using. So if you know how to use epoxy and you've had experience with epoxy, go ahead and leave that in the comments section and tell us about your experience with epoxy. If you have any questions about any of these glues, leave it in the comments section. If you have a suggestion of a topic that you would like to hear more about, leave that in the comments section as well. Thank you so much for watching. I am so sorry that I could not get stepped into you. Yeah. Oh, someone sneezed. Bless you. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you like this channel, make sure you hit subscribe. I will catch you next time. Deuces! Deuces.